Azzazy Talks.
So is it that bad to use an e-learning or let me rephrase the question. So what's the importance of e-learning at the moment then? So how can we use it wisely? How can we use it to have a good ROI from it?
Okay, I'll ask you a question.
Hmm.
How would a cricket bat be used in the context of your work? Could you get ROI from a cricket bat in your work right now?
Nope.
So let's stop talking about things and start talking about problems. Because
Yes.
if we look for problems to solve with the thing that we have at our disposal, we're not going to see the real problems to solve. Again, if I
Yes.
gave you a hammer and said, "See how many problems you can solve in your daily life with this hammer," you might
Yeah.
solve some, but you won't get any ROI.
Yeah.
And it's the same with e-learning. What we're doing is we are
Yes.
hawking e-learning around, looking for problems to solve with it. And
Yes.
if we don't have the right conversations at the outset, the only problems I can see e-learning really solving are if we continue to consider compliance as devolving culpability from the organization to the individual, so that when
Okay.
they mess up, we can get rid of them, or
Okay.
they are responsible for being sued. E-learning is brilliant at that. It's not a training exercise. Let's be really clear. Making
Yes.
people go through largely legal speak and facile scenarios that have nothing to do with their job whatsoever is all about the organization washing its hands of responsibility and passing that on to the individual. It's a little
Exactly.
bit of a scare or a shock, and for them to keep their eyes and minds open. So whilst we're still thinking of compliance in that regard, it fits that purpose. But what it doesn't help with is helping people to develop their judgment, so that in the context of their organization, their interactions and their work, that they make better decisions that aren't based on, this e-learning. So I think that e-learning is largely unpopular. I mean, when was the last time you enjoyed or you got anything from e-learning, Mohammed?
Okay. Here's the thing. We don't have time. People are busy. They don't have that luxury of taking 3 days or 2 days or 5 days out of work. They have a lot of tasks and so on. So the thing is, what do you think about having that small learning bites, or something to read, or something to watch, even if it's a movie or something, or something that will be produced in a very good way, and then we have that workshops or something that have some sort of interaction between other participants to work on case study or something. What do you think about that?
So I think that the opportunities to bring people together to discuss real issues, to have the opportunity to speak to real experts in the room, to speak with people who have experienced something similar, the opportunity to practice and simulate as close to the actual interaction or experience that they would actually have in the work, I think it could be really powerful. What we've got to remember is that as far as the learning process is concerned, engaging people emotionally, or having them experience the anxiety, the worry, the pressure, the empathy that they would experience in real life in a practice environment is really powerful. I think that there's a place. I replace the delivery of content at people with those experiences easily. But I'm not a big fan of the traditional blended approach, which is make somebody do some e-learning that doesn't relate to what they're trying to do, that frames going back to isolated skills and sanitized environments, have nothing to do with the work and nothing to do with the organization. It's just the digital element, because blended means digital plus face-to-face. That's then followed by 3 days of largely delivering content to people that there's no way that they can retain, that doesn't seek to understand their context, their behavior, their challenges, or their real life, that they have some role plays that are just observed among friendly faces. They're all encouraging everybody. There's no there's nothing invested emotionally in it. you get the, and at the end send them a PDF and go, there, we blended it.
Yes.
I just think it's lazy. I think, it all
Yes.
speaks volume. It goes back to what I said before. It
Uh-huh.
doesn't solve any real problems because you haven't
Uh-huh.
sought to understand the real problems. It's
Uh-huh.
not user centric, and so it really won't have any impact on
Yeah.
what people are trying to do.
So where about the
It's got to be
social
grounded in
link?
reality.
Uh-huh. Yes, exactly. So when it
Mhm.
comes to the reality, or to be human centric, what do you think about the social learning, or having that interaction after the workshop or after the engagement that we have with participants? What do you think about using the social learning, something like a Facebook group or WhatsApp group or something like that? Is it will be good to use or not?
It's learning from clients and customers and stakeholders. So it's about learning with, through, and for people.
Mm-hmm.
Social media is a different beast. So enterprise social networks, there's been some studies on whether they work within organizations, and perhaps why they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it seems strange to say these days, especially there's with what's going on with Facebook, in particular,
Mm-hmm.
and Cambridge Analytica, and the misuse of social media.
Yes,
But
exactly.
trust plays a huge part in people's engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of organizations are built on mistrust. The employment contract in a lot of countries is based on a relationship which is greatly in favor of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And through either the hierarchies or through the politics of organizational culture, trust isn't prevalent. And so trying to build an enterprise social network when there isn't trust within an organization is going to cause a lot of problems. Now, I speak
Yes.
firsthand of this at Disney when we tried to introduce Yammer. Now,
Yeah.
again, that was the cricket bat scenario. That was the hammer
Mm.
scenario. We had an
Mm.
enterprise social network and we were looking for problems to solve with it, rather than the other way around, like
Yeah.
truly understanding what it is that people were struggling with, and then applying the philosophy and technology of an enterprise social network.
Yeah.
So I think that there is power in bringing together and holding together a cohort of
Mm-hmm.
building alumni, as long as it's useful. But I would stress again, and the work that I do now, that you do not struggle for any engagement, and you don't have technology that that looking for problems to solve with it if
Mm-hmm.
you are helping people when they need the help, as they are facing unfamiliar situations and challenges for the very first time. It's a very, very different relationship that
Mm-hmm.
learning and development will build with the client, and it isn't then about trying to find technologies or approaches to try on people. It's
Yeah.
doing stuff that it's experimenting with stuff that works.
It's
So
hard.
it's experimenting to try to find the stuff that works.
Exactly.
Again, like a lot of the problems that learning and development have is that the decision to either develop and run a program,
Yeah.
to customize and launch an LMS, to
Mm-hmm.
fill it full of generic content, to launch an enterprise social network, are usually done without truly understanding what it is that they are ultimately there to do. And
Yeah.
that's why engagement becomes the goal itself, because it's just about justifying the investment or the spend in said program, platform, content, or social network.
Mm-hmm.
Driving people towards it becomes the goal. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case if you're working from data to understand what it is that you really should be working on, because that data becomes your barometer,
Mm-hmm.
your check measure. You can see whether your efforts are moving the needle in the right direction of the data. And whilst you won't be ultimately responsible for people's performance or capability, you'll know whether
Yeah.
your intervention is making a difference or not.
Azzazy Talks.